You know that moment when you finally speak English and everything comes out correct, but somehow it still feels wrong. Too formal, too slow, too unnatural. And the worst part, people understand you, but they don't connect with you. Let me tell you about Brian. Brian is smart, educated, works in an office. He knows English grammar, he passed exams. He writes emails perfectly. But one day, something small happened. He was in the office kitchen. His colleague, Sarah, walked in. She smiled and said, "Hey, Brian, how was your weekend?" Brian froze for half a second. Then he replied, "My weekend was quite good. I engaged in several personal activities and also spent time resting." Silence. Sarah blinked. "Oh, nice," she said awkwardly, then walked away. Brian stood there thinking, what did I say wrong? Everything was correct, but something felt off. Have you ever had a moment like that, where your English is technically right, but it doesn't sound natural? That's what we call stiff English. Later that day, Brian sat alone, replaying the conversation. He compared it to what Sarah said. She didn't say, "I had a satisfactory weekend filled with leisure." She said, "How was your weekend?" Simple, easy, relaxed. Brian realized something uncomfortable. He wasn't speaking English. He was performing English. Let's look at what Brian said. "I engaged in several personal activities." That's correct. But in real life, people say, "I just did a few things." He said, "I spent time resting." But most people say, "I just relaxed." Do you see the difference? It's not grammar. It's not vocabulary level. It's natural rhythm. Here's the truth most people won't tell you. Fluency is not about big words. It's about easy words used naturally. A few days later, Brian went out with friends. They were laughing, telling stories. One friend said, "Bro, I almost missed the bus today. It was crazy." Everyone laughed. Brian wanted to join, so he said, "I also experienced a similar transportation delay this morning." Silence again. One friend forced a smile. "Ah, okay." Brian laughed nervously, but inside he felt small, disconnected. You don't say it, but you feel it. That distance, that invisible wall between you and everyone else. That night, Brian did something different. Instead of studying grammar, he started listening, not to textbooks, to real conversations. He watched people talk, not just what they said, but how they said it. Short sentences, contractions, emotion. He noticed something people don't say, "I am going to go now." They say, "I'm gonna go." They don't say, "I do not understand." They say, "I don't get it." They don't say, "That is very interesting." They say, "That's really interesting." Fluent English is not perfect English. It's comfortable English. The next morning, Brian went back to work. Same kitchen. Same colleague, Sarah. She smiled again. "Hey, Brian, how was your weekend?" This time, Brian paused. Not because he didn't know what to say, but because he was choosing something new. He smiled slightly and said, "It was good. I just relaxed mostly." "What about you?" Sarah's face changed instantly. "Same. I needed that," she laughed. And just like that, the conversation flowed. Did you notice the difference? Not smarter words, not harder grammar, just natural speech. Later that day, Brian joined his friends again. Same group, same energy. This time when someone said, "Man, Traffic was terrible today. Brian jumped in. Tell me about it. I was stuck for like an hour. The group reacted instantly. Exactly. Same here, they laughed together. No awkward silence. No distance. Just connection. That's when Brian understood something powerful. People don't connect to perfect English. They connect to real English. If your English sounds stiff, here's why. You think before you speak too much. You try to sound correct instead of natural. You use textbook phrases in real life. You avoid contractions like I'm, don't, it's. And you don't practice real conversation patterns. Here, how to fix it instantly. Shorten your sentences. Instead of saying, I would like to express my opinion regarding this matter, just say, honestly, I think, use contractions. I am becomes I'm. Do not becomes don't. Replace formal words with simple ones. Purchase becomes buy. Assist becomes help. Copy real speech. Listen. Repeat. Feel the rhythm. And most importantly, speak like you're talking to a friend, not giving a speech. Let me ask you something. When you speak English, are you trying to impress people or connect with them? A few weeks later, Brian didn't sound like a textbook anymore. He sounded like himself, relaxed, natural, confident, not perfect, but real. And people noticed. They talked to him more. They laughed with him more. They listened. Because now, he wasn't just speaking English. He was communicating. Here's the truth. You don't need better English. You need freer English. Less thinking, more feeling. Less perfection, more expression. English is not about perfection. It's about expression. If you want real-life English, subscribe for more. Because the next video might be exactly what you need.